Free at Mertech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on February the 5th in the year of our Lord 2026. And as usual, I got a lot of good stuff for you. So let me just go ahead and click Mertech on Rumble. Take us over here to my Rumble channel. This is the video that we're watching tonight, episode 1829. And for some reason, my thumbnail didn't come through when I uploaded this, so I don't know. Let me go ahead and click on the live stream here. Let me pause that out and close the live chat. Slide down here and click the show more button to expand out the description box. Okay, we have information from Dan Bongino, ACLJ Sekulow, McWattersaffect, and Wendy Bell Radio. But before we get into that, I do have some shout outs to give from Rachetti. Just started following my channel. Cindy MH just started following my channel. Stonehenge 121234 just started following my channel. Sigfitch41 just started following my channel. Vicky Sanchez 1018 just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. Okay, Debbie BS reposted my episode 1828. M41 Coco reposted my episode 1848. Uncloudy and Jeanette J66 commented on my episode 1828. Debbie BS commented on my extra 611A and 611B and 611C. So thank you very much, folks, for your comments and reposting my video. I certainly appreciate that. I enjoy reading your feedback, and I definitely appreciate your support. So let me give this a thumbs up. Boom, there we go. And I do have one of those thumbs up buttons right here below the video, so if you could click on that, that would be fantastic. And speaking of comments, Jeanette J66 gets the comment of the day when she says, "Good work, thank you." All right, I appreciate that. I appreciate your comment on that, Jeanette J66. I hope you're tuned in. Okay, jumping back here, let's see what Dan Bongino has to say in the Definitive Guide to Exposing Liberal Hypocrisy, episode 1246. Okay, let's check it out.
Folks, I haven't been able to explain this for the last few days. A couple people came, you know what? I don't want to say to you dopey, dumb, worn out cliches like, Twitter X. Twitter isn't real life. No, Twitter is real life. I mean, a lot of, not all of it, but every platform has bots, by the way. It's not exclusive to Twitter. Botting is a huge problem everywhere. Rumble, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. It's an issue with platforms. Okay. So I don't want to say it's all botting and not real life. Twitter is real life. There are real people on there with real opinions. But I want to be clear on something. I spent the last year of my life pretty much outside of the public eye doing your work over in Washington, D.C. We went out, Paul and I, occasionally, maybe twice a month. We went to a couple concerts and we went out to dinner, I don't know, like once a month or so when she would come back to Washington, D.C. Why am I telling you this? Because, folks, I mentioned the other day an organized network of people that is very committed to taking down the MAGA movement. And a lot of you were skeptical, not so much the Bongino army, you know what's going on, but others who just kind of rolled in over the last few days. And hopefully you're enjoying the show. Maybe not. Maybe you're just here to flame the comments. That's cool, too. Whatever, man. Do your thing. We just want you to show up. But I didn't explain who this organized movement is and why it's happening. They all have one goal. And I'm going to describe it in terms of three tranches of people. And once you see this, I promise you'll never unsee it. I've had a unique insight on it from the other side where I get to see some information that not all of you have. But I promise you it's very real. It's a lot of groups, but three who are powerful. And they use X and platforms to make you believe something's not real. The reason I brought up me going out and stuff with Paul is I would be out in the street and the things you think the public really cares about. Listen, this is really important. Justin, you paying attention? This is super important. The things you think the majority of people, I should say, I'm not saying nobody cares about, the majority of things people care about, I promise you they don't. I had not, in the year I was gone, not a single person came up to me and asked me about issues I promise you think, if you see them on X, are the number one issue du jour. Not one. Not a single person. But now, people are generally nice in person. I get it. There's a bias there. But I'm not kidding. Not a single person came up and said anything negative. So why do you see all this negativity in comments and on X and elsewhere? Yes, some of it's botting, but it's not all of it. There are three groups of people who want to see this MAGA coalition fail. The first, let's just go with the obvious ones, liberals and the media, but they're the same thing. Liberals and the media just hate Republicans. The MAGA movement, folks, it doesn't matter. They hated Mitt Romney, who's not even barely a Republican. They hated George W. Bush. They hate Donald Trump. They hated Ronald Reagan. They just love liberals, socialists, collectivists, and communists. Anyone who's on their side is their enemy. Donald Trump is just the latest iteration of that. Liberals and the media, they are the same thing. They just hate us, so they'll attack guys like me, not just me, but anyone else in the space too. Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck. It doesn't matter. Anyone who tries to advance a Republican conservative, MAGA or conservatarian agenda, the liberals and the media hate, so they want to take you down. Now, there's another group of people out there. I've been calling them the doomers. These are people who you may say, well, where did they come from? Why didn't we see them so much in the 45 administration? Trump won. Well, folks, in Trump 1, they knew Donald Trump was going to be Trump 2 at some point. That point just happened recently in the recent election, obviously. Had the 2020 scheme. However, they knew there was going to be Trump 2. No one wanted to go up against the Lion King. So did you notice you didn't see as much doomerism? You saw, as a matter of fact, very little. It was almost non-existent amongst what we call, I guess, the influencer class. So why are you seeing it now? Folks, once you see this, listen to me. I promise you will never unsee it. The doomers know Donald Trump is not running again. And they have a feeling that the MAGA movement is. Now, I agree and disagree with that. I agree that Donald Trump is a peerless figure in modern American, maybe in American history. I don't think that's up for dispute. There is no other Donald Trump. When Donald Trump was made, the mold was broken. God broke the mold. He is just a fascinating figure for a million different reasons, and he will not be replicated. The doomer class, I hope you're following me here, thinks that when Donald Trump is off the stage in 2028, that the MAGA movement is going to fall apart. So the doomers who pretend to be part of the MAGA movement really aren't. They sense a fracturing coming up, and they have their preferred candidate. So they think whoever's going to inherit the MAGA movement as is, passed down by Donald Trump through an endorsement or whatever, that it's all going to fracture, and they want to be there to clean up what they think is going to be the mess. So what the doomers do is, let's say some legacy figure from this administration, whether it's Vance or Rubio, whoever runs for, that may not be their guy. They may be looking at someone else. So what they can't have Vance and Rubio or others do is run on an agenda that was a success. Folks, you think I'm bullshitting you. I'm telling you, got another thing coming. I have seen it. I've been on the other side of it. It is well organized. That's the second group of people. They have the exact same goal as the libs and the media, tranche one of people, which is to destroy the MAGA movement. Now, the end goal of who they want in there is different. They want a liberal, a collectivist, Mamdani or AOC or whatever. But they want someone other than the MAGA person or the MAGA designee going forward. That's why you see this constant shitting on the administration at all times. The border, entries by illegal migrants are down to 0. It should be -5. There's always a complaint. Always a complaint. It's because they have a different person in mind. And they think when Donald Trump is off the scene, which he wasn't going to be in Trump 1, which he was, that's why you didn't see as much of this. They have to make sure they seed the battlefield so that no one can run on a record of success and say, hey, I'm Donald Trump's guy. Look what we did. You get it? Remember this conversation. Folks, bookmark this show. I don't care what you got to do. Send yourself an email with the link, save it, bookmark it on X. put it in your Rumble favorites somewhere. I promise you're going to see it. And all of this as the 2028 field for the presidency starts to materialize, all of a sudden, all the doomerism is going to make perfect sense. I'll bet you my right arm on it. I'm never wrong. Not on this stuff. Finally, there's a third class of people. The third class of people after October 7th went crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many times I have to tell you this. I stand fully, completely, and strongly against anti-Semitic bullshit. I don't know how many times I got to tell you this. It's amazing how many people think it's like the current thing to say like they hate the Jews or something. Really? You believe that? You realize where that's led throughout human history, absent the immorality of it? Now, you may say, oh, gosh, Dan, I can't believe that that's actually happening. Really? I promise you, go look at the Twitter. If the botting that does happen, and again, it's not all botting. The botting that does happen is very well organized. It is totally synthetic. It is all anti-Jewish nonsense. Read the comments. It's from like, I hate the Jews 101 and stuff. Just look at it. You can see it. It's so clearly fake. But it's an organized movement of people, and it's not a very large group of people, who've learned to amplify social media to attack anyone in the administration or outside who doesn't go and attack the Jews. 100%. Look and just read the comments. Don't take my word for it. Just go and look. Go look. You'll see it. It's everywhere. They all have the same goal. It is to dismantle this movement, take it apart from the inside, cause disruption, pick up the pieces, and rebuild it into something far different than a movement that actually conserves liberty. They all have the same goal. Libs, the anti-Jew crowd, and the doomers. The exact same goal. Once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Look at the people sending out the messages. Look at who they associate with. Just listen to it. Just read the comments. Read their hand. They don't even hide it. I think after this week, where we basically kicked ass and took names, we were a top live stream on our launch with a ridiculous 226,000 streamers. That was with a meltdown DDoS attack against Rumble trying to shut us up. 100,000 plus streamers every day, #1 trending show on podcasts. I'm not patting shit on the back. I'm just telling you, like, all this stuff you heard that was perceived as negative is bullshit. You either produce eyeballs and earlobes or you don't, and the Bongino army always shows up. Always. Because they know I'm not full of shit and I don't bullshit people, and I'm telling you the truth about the triumvirate of folks who want to take this administration down from the inside. I'm not going to let it happen. I'm not going to let it happen either because I believe in this president. And I think it's really important that you understand him and how he works and why he works the way he does. And I've had an interesting seat in there. And, listen, I want to be pretty clear on this too. The position I had, you're not in the Oval Office every single day. I was the deputy, not the principal. Cash should be in there, for things and items and national security issues and stuff like that. But we would be over there often enough in the House. And you deal with the administration. This is a no bullshit administration. He is almost pure signal, this guy, on the results end. He's learned to filter out the noise. What do I mean? I want you to watch this clip from a podcast Kevin O'Leary was on. You know him from Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful. Great guy. And he's really good speaking about business and productivity and stuff. I actually have another clip of him coming up later in the show. But I want you to listen to him discuss working for Steve Jobs. And I think he mentions Elon Musk at the end too. But in terms of how successful leaders, business or elsewhere, learn to distinguish signal from the noise I was just talking about on X. It's really important if you're going to lead that you learn to filter those two out and not get distracted with the noise. Check this out.
Steve would say, fucking shut up and do what I say.
That's how he would talk to you.
100%. And here's what I learned. Signal to noise ratio. His vision of signal was the top 3 to 5 things you have to get done in the next 18 hours. Not your vision for the business next week or next month or next year. Just the next 18 hours you're awake. You're going to get those 3 things or those 5 things done that you have deemed critical for your mission. They must get done today. Anything that stops you from doing that is the noise. This signal to noise ratio to be successful for Steve Jobs was 80-20. 80 signal, 20 noise. He was right. He was right. And the only other person that I've seen that has a higher ratio than that is Elon Musk. He has no noise. He does not deal with noise. He is 100% signal, 60 seconds of every minute, 60 minutes of every hour. The 18 hours he's awake, it's all signal. And look what he's achieved. And if you go back in history, you're going to find out that the geniuses of their time were close to 100% signal.
Folks, I could make a really, really strong case to you right now, based on personal experience, that he's describing Donald Trump too. I've never worked with Elon. I saw him at Dan Scavino's wedding. We spoke for, 30 seconds. I saw him once at a UFC. I don't know Elon very well. We've communicated briefly on X a couple times. I think he congratulated me when I got the job, which was very nice of him. I don't know, but I got to imagine what he's saying is true, given that Elon only runs he runs a couple $1 trillion companies or something like that. Justin's like, yeah, kind of a big deal. So I got to imagine that's actually true. I have no reason to believe otherwise. I can tell you from experience, he is describing Trump. You would never think that's true, given he has a very discursive speaking style. We get he jumps around a little bit because he has a lot in his mind. I get that. Everybody knows that about him. But when it comes to him in a room, and I've been there with him with just a limited group of people, he is all signal. He drowns out all this bullshit. Now, he understands better than anyone that there is an asymmetric warfare game going on, and that PR is getting harder and harder every day. Public relations, everybody has to do it, especially people in government. Oh, PR, it's got a bad connotation. The answer is, my response to that is why? We work for the public. We should be able to relate to the public. He understands there's a problem, and it's getting more difficult to solve. That's the democratization of information is a wonderful thing. I'm all for it. Listen, I've invested in free speech platforms my whole business life because I love them. Even people who hate me. I've invested in platforms that have given platforms to people who go out and shit on me all day. Great. You have the right to speak, brother. Knock yourself out. I have the right to respond. That's how free speech works. That's practicing, not preaching. However, the democratization of information creates real PR problems for people who have to respond to the public. You can go out. I'll give you just an example you can all relate to. You have Joey Bag of Donuts restaurant. Someone gets sick but had norovirus from 3 days ago. They go and eat in a restaurant and they attribute it to the food, but it had nothing to do with the food. They had a stomach virus called noro from a couple of days ago. They go on a Yelp or Google review. Joey Bag of Donuts restaurant got me sick. That's it. That's noise. That's noise because it's not true. It's not real signal. The problem is that lie travels around the globe before Joey Bag of Donuts even has a way to respond to it. It creates a real PR crisis within the government. I'm bringing that up because I'm going to play an audio video of Donald Trump in a little bit explaining exactly this. He understands that. He understands that despite a lot of the noise, I can't get distracted and I have a job to do. I understand that there's a lot of people who are out there doomering, a lot of people who have a malicious agenda against him, who are pretending to be part of it, using their influence to try to destroy. He gets that, and he keeps moving ahead. He has learned to filter out completely the noise and stick totally with the signal.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there, and this video will be in my daily news wrap-ups, so you'll be able to watch the rest of it. I'm 23 minutes into this 1 hour and 56-minute video, so there's a lot of great information here, but I want to move on and give you the opportunity to see this in my daily news wrap-up. But let me click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from the Dan Bongino Show. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here, and I was doing a little chatting here with Debbie BS and Foxy Grandma. So if you want to chat with me, please put something in the chat. I'll respond to you. But in the meantime, let's move on with ACLJ, American Center for Law and Justice. Sekulow. Homan declares unprecedented action in Minnesota. Okay, well, let's check that out.
Tom Homan announced a massive drawdown of the federal presence from ICE that will be there. It was with unprecedented cooperation from local police. We were talking about 700 federal agents who would be departing the Twin Cities.
I'm actually amazed at the cooperation and agreements we already talked about and the willingness to work with us. We're doing better than I ever thought we would. Seriously. And I'm excited about getting back to the business of enforcing immigration law without without arresting people for 111 for interference and impeding. We just want to do what we've done for 30 years, 40. I've done this 40 years. We want to get back to doing the job. And that's what we plan on doing. And we're not, I want to keep this, because I keep hearing it and hearing it and hearing it. We're not surrendering the president's mission on a mass deportation operation. If you're in the country illegally, if we find you, we'll deport you. But this is about target enforcement operation, and that's what we're going to be doing.
There's still going to be 2,000, according to Tom Homan, agents there. This is just the first step in drawing down, because in his opinion, there should have never had to have been 2,700 plus agents there to begin with, if there was that cooperation between the state partners and the federal enforcement arm. And so when you start to look at this as well, when you saw how out of control it got, when you saw even the raid on the church by the leftist agitators and that led to the arrest, it got so out of control that, as he even said, a lot of their arrests then were them detaining people that were obstructing the law enforcement instead of even the core mission. Tom Homan here is being able to get back to the core mission, making sure that they can focus on getting the illegal criminal aliens detained and out of the country, as he said. And so I think that's important to show here. But I think also, instead of looking at Tom Homan as someone who's capitulating by taking 20 to 25% agents out that he no longer feels are necessary because of the steps you are seeing from the local leaders. And I want to play bite 2 from Tom Homan here in a second. But once again, at the same time, you could say the same if you were on the left. Oh, this is capitulation from Tim Walz, from Attorney General Ellison, because they are now allowing him to take criminal aliens at the place where it's the safest for them to do it. We want ICE out completely. So whenever there is some sort of meeting in the middle, when it's such a charged political moment like we see here, I feel like you're going to have people on both sides. They're going to make that an issue. Say, oh, how dare you capitulate? Instead, I am happy that this could potentially lead to safer immigration enforcement, not just for the officers, for anyone that decides that it's their cause to get out there and obstruct and impede and try to do all the things that they've been doing. I don't want to see more people hurt, whether it be an American citizen that's a civilian, anybody, or law enforcement. But let's go ahead and play bite 2, because I think this is really telling that the people that were obstructing the whole time were the leaders, and now all of a sudden they're not doing it anymore. Bite 2.
I want to thank, the sheriffs, the governor, and the AG. I think we're in a lot better place than we've ever been in. We never had this kind of cooperation at this level, and I'm not leaving until we get all done. But I'm happy to say I'm extremely pleased with the leadership team and their outreach to the sheriffs, to the state, to the chiefs. I've talked to many of them. I didn't talk to all of them, but I plan on talking to every one of them before I leave and thanking them for their cooperation.
This is the guy that the former Secretary of Transportation Castro had said has a heart of darkness. This was the ultimate evil for the Democrats, Tom Homan. And now you start to see that whenever they find a new evil, another more evil person, because they demonize every single person on the right and in the Trump administration, that, well, he sounds actually like the rational one. It's because you never were listening to begin with. When he is wanting to enforce the laws of this country, it's not because he has a heart of darkness as an evil person. It's because he wants to enforce the laws of the country. That's what he's done his entire career. That's why he was given commendations under administrations like Barack Obama's, because these are serious people. And when you hear these words, I don't see them as a capitulation at all. I see it as him knowing how to efficiently run this system and wanting to do it more efficiently.
From Tom Homan, he said, I'll say it again. This is efficient, and it requires only 1 or 2 officers to assume custody of a criminal alien target rather than 8 or 10 officers going into the community and arresting that public safety threat. And again, he said, we currently have an unprecedented number of counties communicating with us now, allowing ICE to take custody of illegal aliens before they hit the streets. Unprecedented cooperation. So essentially saying, we don't need 8 to 10 officers going after one person or whatever it may be. We're going to scale that down. We only need 1 or 2. And that is going to help the visual a lot. It's going to help the conversation move forward. And look, I think it's important when you have the chaos surrounding Minnesota to have a moment where it does feel like there's some bipartisan work and bipartisan effort. And if the intention, and look, you could say surrendering, I doubt it. This is probably coming from the very top, to go in there and to bring the tone down.
We want to get back to the original footprint, the Minnesota footprint of what ICE officers looked like before this operation, plus the additional hires through the big, beautiful bill. A lot of these people, they got agents here from LA, New York, and Portland. There's problems there too. So we want to get people back to their home stations and enforce immigration laws in those areas. But the vast majority of sheriffs, there's only a few that we're still in consultation with, but this is unprecedented cooperation. So again, I want to thank the sheriffs, the governor, and the AG. I think we're in a lot better place than we've ever been in. We never had this kind of cooperation at this level, and I'm not leaving until we get all done.
Yeah. So you sit in sort of the adults in the room and stuff can get done, and this can happen.
Once again, the governor who he's thanking there was the one going out on television saying we are at war with the federal government, calling ICE agents Trump's Gestapo. The rhetoric that was coming from, yes, and that's what's so disgusting to me is that it's a tired phrase, but playing political chess, using your people as pawns, it's what they were doing. Even the people that weren't necessarily paid activists, people that maybe genuinely are concerned about whether they're correct because they have good facts or not, but there are people that genuinely do not like what ICE is doing because of imagery they've been shown, and they feel a conviction about that.
But the way that Tom Homan worded that, I actually felt a bit of relief. I think that that's good. A bit of relief and a bit of unity, because Minnesota is not its own country. It is not its own land. It is part of the United States of America, a place that I've enjoyed visiting over the years. So it's nice to not hear this sort of us versus them version.
All right, there you have it, folks. Good information. I'm glad I guess things are settling down in Minnesota. I hadn't heard anything over the past couple of days. Usually it was every day you would hear something, but I'm glad that things are calming down and they're still able to get out the undesirables. Let me click on this Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from American Center for Law and Justice. I am following the channel. I've given them a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump over here, and I want to share my stats page here with you for my Creator program, February 2026. It looks like every category I'm in the green, met my requirements for my Rumble Studio, so that Rumble will promote this information out a little bit more so that more people can get the truth. I mean, that's what I'm doing this for. I'm putting these videos together and sharing them out so that people can get a nice variety of the truth rather than the lies and propaganda. The only category that I'm kind of lacking in is total unique chats for the month right here. I need 20 and I've got 12. So what that means is I need there's people like Debbie BS and Foxy Grandma and M41 Coco and Uncloudy that are regulars that chat with me practically every night. What I need is someone new that hasn't chatted with me before. Put a little message in the chat box. Okay, I've got 27 people watching, so I know I've got enough people watching right now. Just give me a thumbs up or say hi or, whatever. Just give me a chat so I can meet this requirement and get this stuff promoted out so people can actually hear the truth, because there's enough lies and propaganda on the mainstream media. We need to be able to counteract that just a little bit. Okay, let me jump back over here and close out the live chat and slide down here and see what McWattersaffect has to say. In 2030 election map disaster, Democrats' immigration scheme collapsing. Well, that sounds like wonderful news. Let's check this out.
Yeah, I mean, Democrats in the minds of the American public are lower than the Dead Sea. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look. The net approval rating for Democrats in Congress, you said it, Kate Baldwin, the lowest ever. Look at this. Overall, they are 55 points underwater. Their approval rating is south of 20%. It's even worse when you look at independents. Look at this. Negative 61 points. That means that their approval rating is 61 points lower than their disapproval rating. Quinnipiac has been polling this question for the better part of the 21st century. They have never found Democrats, at least those in Congress, in worse shape than they are right now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Today we got a video for you guys and has Ari Enton, and he's talking about the Blue Depression. And he's talking about the next census and how a lot of people have moved out of these blue states, moved into red states. Thus, House seats are going to move, as well as when it comes to the Electoral College. A lot of points will leave the Democrat Party and go to the Republican Party. But let's go ahead and take a look at this because it's pretty fascinating on how this is working.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I don't mind that they want to move to a Republican or a better, common sense state, but don't come here and vote your liberal trash that, turned where you were in New York or California or wherever into total trash. Don't do that. Don't move here and vote like that. That's my thing. We're going to dig into this. You'll be really interested in this. Stick with us. We would very much appreciate if you like, share, and subscribe.
Today, I wanted to take a look at some long-term population trends that really should set off a flashing red siren to Democrats nationwide while bringing a big smile to the faces of Republicans nationwide. Why do I say that? Because take a look at the big population gainers versus the last census back in 2020. According to the latest population estimates that take into account the population mid-2025, look at this. The biggest population growth this decade, all 5 of the states that Donald John Trump won in 2024. Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, and of course the great state of Arizona, where I spent my New Year's Eve. I love those folks out in Prescott, Arizona. These were the biggest gainers in terms of population compared to the 2020 census. Now, it's not just a red state boom. This is what we're looking at. We're looking at a red state boom here, but it is not just a red state boom. We're also looking at what I would dare call a blue state depression, because who are the people? Who and where are the people moving from into the red states? Well, they're blue states. They're blue states. Take a look here. The lowest domestic net migration this decade. All 5 of the states that were won by Kamala Harris in 2024. Look at this. California, Harris's home state. New York, where I'm coming from right now.
What's crazy about these numbers, this also includes all the illegal immigrants they brought in as well. So if you don't have the illegal immigrants in there as well, what would happen? The numbers would be even more inflated to go with the Republican states more than Democrat states.
Yeah, and I'm sure losing all of this population is going to cost them in Congress.
Of course, Illinois, New Jersey, and of course, the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which is a bastion of blue liberalism. These are the states that folks in the United States are moving away from and into the red states, which is propelling a red state boom. Now, this is interesting, right? But it could also have major political ramifications if it holds for 2030, the next census. Because take a look here. If, in fact, the 2025 population shifts hold for the 2030 census, look at this. Look at the House seat shifts by state. Remember, of course, we apportion the number of House seats depending on the population in each state. If, in fact, the 2025 population shifts hold for 2030, states that Kamala Harris won, they would lose 7 seats in the United States House of Representatives. The states that Donald Trump won in 2024, they would gain 7 seats.
Now, here's the thing to remember. Trump is deporting a lot of people out of the United States, and some of these people are also self-deporting. With 3 million people being self-deported or deported in 2025. Let's say if you get that average number every year for the next 4 years, that would be about what, 12 million people. That's going to affect the census, which the census will affect the electoral college and the House seats. This is a pretty big thing, and him showing this, I've talked about this before, but not in depth like he's doing right now. But this is a big reason why they're losing their mind over ICE and the deportations that are going on right now.
Yeah, and look, we've known since the beginning of Biden's administration, within 2 months in, he was flying them in and opened the border. We knew he was drawing in a new voter base. So the whole goal here is to negate that. And it looks like we're winning that battle as long as the courts allow us to continue. And I have no reason to think they wouldn't. But this is a nightmare for the Democrats, and it should be. Everything they stand for is fringe.
Now, this isn't just about the House of Representatives, right? It's also about the Electoral College, because the number of electoral votes that each state gets is equal to the number of senators. Each state, of course, has 2, plus the number of House seats that they have. So what would this mean for the House of Representatives? Well, if you remember back in 2024, right, it was all about, we were talking about the blue wall. If Kamala Harris could win the baseline Democratic states and then add in the blue wall states of Michigan, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, she would get to 270 electoral votes. But if all of a sudden we, in fact, have applying the 2025 estimates, the population estimates, to the Electoral College, the blue states plus the blue wall of Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin would no longer be enough. Under the current estimates.
Well, like I said before, if you also include the deportations, those numbers would be inflated even more down for the Democrats. It'd be more like 250 electoral votes, and that'd be it. The only way they could win is if they win some red states.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, what states out there could possibly be flipped? I don't think Democrats can give you a good answer on that.
You get to exactly 270 electoral votes, the minimum needed to win the Electoral College. If, in fact, you apply the 2025 estimates, look at that. You would only get to 263 electoral votes if you were a Democrat, which would mean a Republican victory. Now, of course, we're still a number of years away from reapportionment, right? We take the census come 2030. But what we can say so far is we got a red state boom going on, a blue state depression going on, people moving from the blue states to the red states. And if it holds for 2030, well, it would make the Democratic nominee for president's job of winning the Electoral College that much more difficult.
I think Harry just gave us some correct information there, except for you pointed out that if trends continue, it'll be closer to 250 electoral votes, and they're definitely going to have to win multiple Republican states, which I don't see happening. And look, to me, this is all very simple to explain. The Democrats are on the wrong side of every 80-20 issue in the country, and they've imported a voting class that hopefully isn't going to be allowed to vote. I don't see how they win, but here's the thing. The cheating apparatus also needs to be dismantled, because they don't have to win. They just have to get the votes. And if we allow what we've been allowing, they'll find a way to get the votes. They won't be real, but they'll get them.
I don't think that's true, that part of it. I think most of what you said was true. I think more than likely that's the reason they're freaking out about illegal immigration. And that's the reason they're also freaking out about some of the other stuff like the SAVE Act and so on and so forth, because they see this come down the pipeline and they need to try to actually stop it and make sure it doesn't happen. And the only way they can do that is when they have to win the midterms, and then they have to get rid of the Electoral College. If you get rid of the Electoral College, guess what? We're not basing it off of the Electoral College anymore, obviously. We're based off popular vote. And, the thing is, even though Republicans would win the Electoral College, there's no guarantee they would win the actual popular vote, because Democrats seem to isolate themselves in large cities and large urban areas instead of being spread out like Republicans and conservatives like being. And so that's just, I think, more evidence of a paradigm shift when it comes to the difference of Republicans and Democrats' mindsets. I guess, both parties have different cultures. One likes living real close together in areas where everything's close to you, and you don't need a car to get there, and so on and so forth. And other people like living spread out away from each other. It's just a cultural bias between conservatives and Democrats. And I think that right there gives us strength that we need in electoral college vote, but does not give us that strength when it comes to popular vote. And that's the reason Democrats want to get rid of the electoral college.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Matt. And if we lose the midterms, we have real problems, because they'll pack the Supreme Court. They'll get rid of the Electoral College. There's like a handful of big things they'll do so that Republicans will never gain power again. So we've got to win the midterms.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. And, they might want to get rid of the Electoral College, but whatever bill they push through Congress, number one, I don't think that they will win the Senate. But even if they did, if they had the House and the Senate, any bill that they pushed through would have to be signed by President Trump before it became law. So to abolish the Electoral College, Donald Trump would have to sign that, and I don't think he is. To stack the Supreme Court, Donald Trump would have to sign that into law. I don't think he's going to do that. But if the Democrats do win in Congress, in the House of Representatives, if the Republicans don't hold the House of Representatives, the Democrats will just do impeachment after impeachment after impeachment and do their best to stall anything that Donald Trump tries to accomplish. So it is so important to get these elections under control and for us to all get out and vote just like we did in 2024, okay, and in 2020, and hope we can hold down the cheating that took place in 2020 like we did in 2024 and again in 2026. That's what we got to do. Let me click on this Rumble link here and show you, that this video does come from McWattersaffect. I'm following the channel. I've given them a thumbs up. I hope they do the same thing. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here and let's see what Wendy Bell has to say about reclaiming our time. Now, I moved this up past her, a little bit past her Pledge of Allegiance, because she goes into some issues that she had with like a water leak in her basement or something and the alarm going off. But let's go ahead and get into this.
This terrible doldrum, right? So then I'm at the gym this morning and a study pops up on Fox News. She was listening to Fox News, so we were watching together. It was a study, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. I remember not that long ago when we were told, you really want to be careful about your coffee intake. Too much caffeine, I'm telling you what, it can really be bad for you. And you're like, really? Like what? Well, it can raise your risk of cardiovascular death. Fantastic. That's swell. It can also raise your, the premature ventricular contractions and your cholesterol. And you're like, oh my gosh. And then today they're like, you know what? You should really be drinking a lot more coffee. 3 to 5 cups a day at least. And usually in the morning, that's best for you, says this new study, right? So who do you believe? What's going on? I have no idea. But I am going to say that I find it very intriguing that President Trump has now weighed in on this NBC anchor woman, Savannah Guthrie's mom's disappearance. You can't get away from this story, right? And I'm kind of curious about this story. I mean, it's awful. Here you have a woman, Savannah Guthrie, NBC, whatever she does, whatever. And her mom lives in Arizona. Mom's in her 80s, I would presume, because Savannah's a little bit younger than I am. And mom goes out to dinner with Savannah's sister, her daughter, and husband. Husband drops her off at home, makes sure she gets inside, everything's cool, and then kind of all hell breaks loose because she goes to church every Sunday, and she wasn't there. Wasn't there. And people started going, wait a minute, what's going on? And she's been abducted. And it's like the weirdest thing. Why her? What's up with this family? Is Savannah Guthrie working on a story? Doubtful. When did the media ever work on anything, right? Did like the cartel, right? Did they steal her? What happened? Was it somebody in the family? Was it a relative? No idea. And now all of a sudden the president is involved. Okay, I want to find the woman too, and I can only imagine as we listened, literally Fox News covered the story for the hour I was at the gym today for 43 minutes. Swear to God. The same thing over, and they were opining. Bill Hemmer was even talking about the moon. He was like, well, you know, when she was abducted, it was a full moon, so maybe there's going to be some cameras in the area that's going to. I'm like, really? This is what. We have 450,000 missing unaccompanied alien children missing in this country. This administration has found, almost 200,000 of them? That's breaking news. That's a bigger story, I'm sorry, than everything else going on. Right? Where's the coverage of those things? Where's the coverage? Where's the news? Do you know how many stories I share with you on this program and audio sound bites at Brock or I find on X that the media do not cover? Literally, there is nothing about it. Savannah Guthrie's mom, Nancy Guthrie, all over the news. It's all you can read about. I just don't understand it. And then we have these hearings yesterday in the Senate. Did you see this? In the Senate and the House. Did you see Maxine Waters with her resting ugly face? I'm telling you, it is a very ugly face. She's very dour. She's very sour, very drawn, and she always looks angry and is a jerk. And she's got Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, sitting in the chair, who knows infinitely more than you and I combined, likely about business and finance and interest rates and banks and credit cards and all of that stuff, right? And she's trying to finger wag him and reclaim her time and all of this. It is so unbecoming. It is so embarrassing. And I think that's where I am today. I'm in this knot because it's like everywhere I look, people's behavior or the results of things that they do don't add up. Problems aren't getting solved. We're not moving forward. And there was a hearing yesterday where some goofball for an NGO supported by the Open Society Foundation, which is George Soros Foundation, right? So dark, deep scumbag money funding an NGO that puts out information that basically everything they disagree with is racist, right? This is where we are. Don't pay attention to the fraud. Don't pay attention to the people who allowed it to happen. Don't dig into our congressmen and women and identify the baffling, just remarkable good fortune of their bank accounts. Right? Don't pay attention to the focus on, for some reason, now that Jeffrey Epstein stuff hasn't stuck the landing. It's all about Nancy Guthrie. Isn't it odd to anybody else? Because you know what I'm going to tell you it's about. It's about exposing all of the people who long ago stopped working for us and making sure they never slither back in. That's where we're going today, my friends. I'm reclaiming our time, ladies and gentlemen. J.D. Vance sitting down with Megyn Kelly yesterday talking about the SAVE Act. Apparently, it's on a docket. I got the deets for you. Don't go anywhere. You're tuned in to the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All right, let me go ahead and run this up here past our commercial break. Here we go.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, Brock, you're going to have to dust off that open where Joe Biden is saying it's not about who gets to vote. It's about who counts the vote, whether those votes get counted. So Kelly Pigeon, our voice guy, a couple years ago, put together this beautiful open for one of the top of the hours. And hopefully Brock can dust it off because it's important. This is exactly where we are. And JD Vance makes mention of it sitting down with Megyn Kelly yesterday. And it's a great soundbite because he's talking about the SAVE Act. You know, let's talk even just basically. This is a thing that's not complicated. The majority of people, Republicans, Democrats, independents, black, white, whatever you are, the majority, plurality, 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5 people say you should have to prove that you're an American and this is who you are with a photo ID in order to vote. It's not complicated. They do it everywhere. They do it all over the world. It's not like this is some discriminatory thing. But J.D. Vance brings up a really interesting point. He's like, look, the deep state doesn't want to give up the control over who gets to count the vote because that is where all of the garbage takes place. Listen.
Well, we're working very hard right now to get the Senate to approve it because if the Senate approves it, we think the House would approve it too. Now, that would require, I think, some Republican senators who maybe they're a little too attached to the filibuster, maybe they're a little too attached to Senate procedure. This is about the integrity of American democracy. Like, do the people control who they elect, or do some shady people? It's like who actually controls the people who cast the ballots or the people who count the ballots? We want the sovereignty to be with the people who cast the ballots, and that's why we have to get the SAVE Act passed. And you'll hear people say all the time, and I love this argument. They'll say, well, if you look at this precinct, only 3 illegal aliens voted in this election. Number one, that's 3 illegal aliens too many. And number two, if it's not a big problem, then why not just allow us to check ID and exercise some basic precautions to prevent illegal aliens from voting? I never quite understand the person who says, on the one hand, this never happens, and on the other hand, your effort to prevent it from happening is a threat to American democracy, which is fundamentally the Democrats' argument. By the way, it's like an 85-15 issue.
Yeah.
Most Democrats want voter ID because they want to protect their own vote.
But the elected leaders don't want to vote for it.
The elected leaders don't, because they know that the more control they give to the people who are counting the ballots, as opposed to those who are casting the ballots, the more control they will have.
100%. None of this is complicated. Isn't it so silly? We're running in circles, pants on fire. We have the theatrics of Maxine Waters with that nasty face, mean, interrupting, being rude, being everything that makes you uncomfortable, and certainly not conduct becoming a sitting congresswoman. I don't believe it's gross, no matter who does it. If you don't control the machines and you don't control the ballots and you don't control how those ballots are counted, you're not in control. Okay? Wow, that was like the smartest thing I've ever said in my life. We're going to have to go back and remember what that was because I've already forgotten it. But it's true. House to vote next week to require citizenship check and photo ID for voting, upping Senate pressure. So House Majority Leader Steve Scalise said the floor vote will force the Democrats to declare where they stand on 2 election integrity items widely supported by Americans. Hell, I know exactly how the Democrats are. I want to know how the Republicans are. That's what I want to flush out. That's what this is to me. So let's read a little bit about the timing here. U.S. House of Representatives going to vote next week on a bill that would require all states to check both citizenship and photo identification before allowing voters to cast ballots, combining 2 widely popular election integrity provisions and ramping up pressure on a Senate that has been unwilling to consider either mandate. Like, we have the majority. This is Trump's first term, right? This is the same setup. You had the majority. What did you do? Besides not a whole lot. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and Representative Chip Roy confirmed in an interview Wednesday night with Just the News that the vote will be held next week for the Save America Act. That's why it's called the Save America, because it's those two mushed into one, which combines the two requirements that have passed the House individually but have not received a vote in the GOP-controlled Senate. This should be a freaking slam dunk. This is where your old fossils with ranked choice voting, Murkowski, who gets a seat given to her by her father and then festers and sucks wind for how many decades, right? And sweetheart, you need to change your profile picture because I'm sorry, it ain't even close to what you look like now. Maybe it's time to retire. Okay? Roy is the chief sponsor of the legislation in the House, joined by Senator Mike Lee. In the Senate, I'm announcing that we are bringing Chip's Bill to Save America Act to the floor next week. Scalise said it in this interview. So it's on the floor. Everybody has to pick a side. Do you want to make sure that only American citizens vote in elections and that you have to show an ID to vote? You can't get into a bar. You can't get on an airplane without an ID. And if we want to make sure the franchise of America's democracy is in place, let's do this as well. Now, I would imagine anybody who votes against this, we should investigate the district. We should investigate the fraud and crime and all of the abuse that's been going on where they are because they wanted to continue with that vote. Should be a signal, big sign for rent. My Senate seat. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, the interview, or rather the audio you need to hear, David Hoke, Nick Shirley's guy in Minneapolis, absolutely schools Congress. And which it's the best audio of the day. Don't miss it next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and move on. So if you want to see this, then you can come and watch my daily news wrap-up because I will include this video there. Let me click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come
No matter who
from
does.
Wendy Bell Radio. I'm following her channel. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. And I do want to share some information from 1775 Coffee here. So here we go.
Still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped, only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the Vitality Mushroom Coffee for clean energy and laser focus, no crash.
All single origin, small batch, toxin-free, and mold-free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions. And a black 1775 tumbler.
$170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is.
Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does.
Okay, folks, thanks for watching that. And what I've done here is I've copied the live chats into a comment so that they will be a permanent part of this video, because when the live stream is over, the live chats just kind of go someplace, I don't know. But at any rate, now they're permanent to this video, and thank you everyone for chatting. Foxy Grandma, M41 Coco, Uncloudy, Debbie BS, all of you, thank you so very much. Okay, and let me remind you that the videos that I've shared here with you are videos that come directly from the producer. I've got the link to the producer's video as well as the link to the producer's channel. So if you want to go check anything else out that these people have created, I don't get any commissions or royalties for this. As I said earlier, the only reason I do this is to get the information out. Just one more person sharing information. Hopefully somebody will see this and go, yeah, you know, the Democrat Party, I don't know that what they're pushing is really what I want. So maybe I need to rethink that. Because, I mean, you heard it on the videos that I've shared with you today. the Democrats are always on the wrong side of every 85-15 video. 85% of the people are for something, and 15% are against it, like, deporting illegal aliens. But the Democrats are always pushing the 15%. I am baffled at the philosophy and the logic of the people, the politicians of the Democrat Party. I mean, some of these people have been in politics for decades. You would think that they realize, people aren't liking what we're doing here. Maybe we need to switch tactics a little. No, they freaking push harder. Something is not right. Maybe they're just counting on the immigrants, the illegal aliens voting, and hoping Donald Trump can't stop it. But you would think they would take, a step back and say, maybe we need to kind of switch. But no, they just push harder, double down, triple down, quadruple down on insanity. Something is not right here, folks. Something is not right. I don't know what it is, but something is just not right. Okay, as I was saying earlier, before I went off on a tangent, glad I got that off my chest, these videos that I've shared with you here are videos that I've posted here on Murtech.com. Right here, ACLJ, Sekulow, that's the video they dropped. Dan Bongino, right here's his video. McWattersaffect, right there, and Debbie. Wendy Bell Radio, right here's the video that I shared from her. I've got over 55 videos here at Murtech.com, and it's a free site. The link is in the description box. I mean, I don't have any advertisements. I don't drop any cookies on your computer. I don't ask for your name or your email address. You're pretty much anonymous when you come to Murtech.com, and there's so much information there. I'm not doing that to earn money, because I don't make any money off of this site. All I do is try to push out no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. Now, as I said, I'd like to share all of that with you, but fortunately I don't have the time, and that's why I've put together my daily news wrap-up. Right here's the video from Wendy Bell. We're going to take off where we left off there. And Dan Bongino, we're going to take off where we left off there. Just the News. Dr. Steve Turley, The Daily Caller. Some more McWattersaffect, Black Conservative Perspective, SGT Report, X22 Report, Badlands Media. It's all right here, folks. I've got 21 videos in here and about 9 or 10 hours worth of great information. So this is going to get started about 9:30, so go ahead and take a break. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink, or a beer, or even a nice glass of wine and cheese, and meet me back here at 9:30, and we'll get this going for you. Give me a chance to make sure my playlist here is all set up and my Rumble Studio is all set up. So give me a few minutes. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for being here with me. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.